Tanse, everyone. Oki, bonjour, hello. Welcome to another fabulous Tuesday teaching. It has been a wonderful week. It's a nice time to come back to schools and share with a whole bunch of great kids. So I'm just really thankful and humbled for what I do and to be able to share in a good way. And I'm just really thankful to live where I live. And so I always just begin with that little land acknowledgement because it's important. It's important to know where you are. It's important to know where you're going. But it's also important to know that history because you're part of that. It's important to understand that you are part of that history. You're connected to the land and you have to know that story so that you can move forward in a good way. And so I live in Mulkinstis in Treaty 7 territory in Calgary, Alberta. And I'm so thankful and humbled to have lived here for, at least a couple of decades on and off. I keep moving back and forth, but Calgary always brings me back. There's something about the confluence of the rivers and the way that they just bring community together. There's something very special and sacred here. And so I acknowledge the families that have been here for thousands of generations. The Blackfoot or the Nitsitapi or Nitsitapi, depending on which nation you talk to. That's just different pronunciations. And so I acknowledge Siksika, Gaina, and Pagani. I acknowledge the Sarsidene, also known as the Beaver people of Tsutsuna, and the Stoney Nakoda of Morley, which includes Chiniki, Bear's Paw, and formerly Wesley, now known as Big Stony. And I'm just really thankful and humbled to live where I live. I'm also very thankful for the Métis of Region 3. And this is why I proudly wear my Métis sash to act as that bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous culture. And we really just need to be present when we think of those things. So I'm Cree, Anishinaabe, and Métis. I'm from Muskeg Lake Cree Nation, which is in Saskatchewan. But this has been my home, and I feel part of the community. I feel like I am connected to the land. I feel like I'm connected to the people. I learn from the knowledge keepers and the storytellers, the drummers and the singers, and the wonderful people from all of those nations and all of our nations that have brought us together. So to welcome everyone into the circle today, I love to begin with the Cree welcome song. Traditionally, when we sing songs, we sing in rounds of 4 to honor the 4 directions of the medicine wheel, but this song is a little different. We sing it in rounds of 3 to keep the circle open and welcoming so everyone completes the circle today, because in a circle, we're all connected. There's no beginning, there's no end. No one is greater or less than anyone else in this circle, just like in the hoop of life. So it teaches us to honor each other for those differences, because if we were all exactly the same, the world would be super boring and nothing would ever get done. So we need those differences to help our community thrive. Mia Sin is from the Natahau family of Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation, and I'm so thankful for that family for keeping this song alive. This song has really resonated with me and led me on my path, and every time I sing it, I do feel like I'm welcoming in my ancestors, and I just really appreciate that. I think it's really important that when you share a song or you share a story, you kind of acknowledge who that has come from or what nations those have come from, because that's part of our journey, is really to acknowledge that strength that draws us together, that journey ahead of us, but also to acknowledge that history that's led us here. And so that's what really Mia Sin means. It doesn't just mean welcome, it also means beautiful. I'm gonna slide my chair out of the way here. Mia Sin, Mia Sin, Hasemina, Hasemina, Epetakote, Niwagomagan, Hota, Homa, Kitaskino, Miasen, Miasen, Hasemina, Hasemina, Epentakote, Niwagomagan, Hota, Homa, Kitaskino, Miasen, Miasen, Taskino. Hi, and welcome to the circle today, everybody. So I'm just really thankful and grateful to be here, and I think it's important to start in a good way. So I'm going to start with a smudge today and talk a little bit briefly about the medicines. And again, I'm only sharing my teachings. This is why I always encourage people to learn from so many different elders and knowledge keepers from different nations, because this is why we have oral traditions and oral storytelling. Whatever's meant for us, we'll remember. Whatever's not, it won't take up space in our brain. And so it's really just about finding your path, whether that be through the medicines, whether that be through teachings, whether that be through, elders or knowledge keepers. But everyone has different perspectives, and I think that's really important to learn. And so when I smudge, I usually only smudge with sage. If we're in Blackfoot territory, so Blackfoot tend to smudge with a lot of sweetgrass, and so it's just different teachings. To me, sage is that women's medicine. It's that connectedness. It's that community medicine, and so anybody can smudge with it at any time. It's like the river; it always flows. When we smudge with sweetgrass, it stays put. It stays in one spot because it's fire, and so that represents that connection to fire. It's that connection to our mind. And so when we smudge with sweetgrass, it usually stays put and stays in one place, as opposed to carried around the entire circle. Whereas sage it keeps moving, it keeps flowing. And that is the women's medicine as well, so it's universal. Anybody can smudge with it at any time. And I'm making a mess. But that's a really, really important teaching. I'm actually going to just pull some of this out of here because I forgot to bring my other stuff down. And this is buffalo sage that we're going to be smudging with today. I'm going to talk very briefly about the other medicines, because even though we're not using the other medicines, it's important to lay them out just to acknowledge them, acknowledge their energy, the ancestors that carry them, the knowledge behind them. And so in Cree, OG Cree, because those are my teachings, we have in the east, sweetgrass, which smells so amazing. It smells like cake today. Normally it smells like marshmallows to me. Today it smells like cake. So it smells very, very sweet, but it teaches us to honor our mind. Whenever I get a lot of anxiety around my email, I smudge with sweetgrass because it helps me to focus. It helps me to learn. And it helps me to just calm my mind so that I can deal with the stuff at hand. And then in the south, we have cedar, that beautiful cedar here. Cedar is our connection to our physical body, to the physical earth, the connection to the land, that reminder of the relationship that we have with the land, and the relationship that we have with our body. And so it's asking for good health, it's asking for grounding, and it's asking for connection when we use it. In the west, we have sage, which is that women's medicine, which is our connection to water. It's our connection to community. It's our connection to our emotions and that emotional healing and grounding that we need. And it's just that general all-around bringing everything together medicine. And then the last one is tobacco. I have a few different varieties of tobacco that have been gifted to me over time. Sometimes you might see these tobacco tins that are gifted to elders or knowledge keepers in the community. They're a really good thing to have on hand because they're sealed, so you don't worry about all of the stuff getting everywhere, but it's a really good thing just because you never know when you're going to bump into an elder. So I always have several in my car or on me in my drum bag, which just happens to be out of school right now. I totally forgot, so I'm using my son's drum today. I'll talk a little bit about that later. But all of those medicines, the tobacco represents spirit. It's connected to the air. So this is why we gift it to elders, to say thank you from our spirit to their spirit. And so, that being said, talk a little bit about the smudge itself. So I made like a little smudge ball and put it in there. It's just sticky. So the smudge bowl represents water because it holds everything together, very much like when we're inside our mother's womb, we're surrounded by water. It's that protection. It's holding everything together. When we put the medicine in the bowl, this is sage, but no matter what the medicine is, it represents earth because it grows from the earth. When we let it on fire, it represents fire, and the smoke represents air. And so I always use matches. I demonstrated last week, if you don't have matches and you're in a pinch, you can definitely use a lighter to light a stick and then light the medicine, but you don't actually want to put the lighter on the medicine into your smudge, because it disrespects the relationship that you have with that medicine. It disrespects the relationship that you have to the earth. And so out of respect for the medicine, and out of respect for that connection that you want to build with Mother Earth, you don't put those things that we're not entitled to, because we're not entitled to the butane, we're not entitled to the metal, we're not entitled to the plastic. And so that creates an automatic disrespect as soon as you put it in there. And so this is why we use matches. Matches are actually a very traditional thing. Because we used to have sulfur harvesting ceremonies to pull the sulfur out of the rivers so nobody would get sick, because if sulfur sits in the river, of course it's going to go downstream, and if you drink it, you're going to get sick. And so in the spring, you would like pull these big chunks of sulfur out of the river so that they wouldn't float downstream to make animals sick or to make other people sick. But also, what are you going to do with it? You don't want to just sit there, because then it's going to eventually seep, right? And so you would gather it up, and then I'm not sure which nation figured it out, but they figured out, hey, if we mix it with other things, it's super flammable. And so they started to create matches and give them to other nations as ways to, keep that fire burning, literally and figuratively. And so this is why we use matches. When we smudge, there's no right or wrong way to smudge. It's whatever feels good to you, because it's really about cleansing, getting rid of the things that you don't need, asking for the things that you do need. I always fan it with my hand. Don't blow on it, because your breath is your life, and your life is precious, and you don't waste that for anybody. I'm going to move this over here. My smudge kit's at the school too, so now I'm just kind of improvising. And so the first thing I do is I clean my hands in it, so anything that I'm carrying I get rid of. I bring it over my body 4 times to honor the 4 directions in my body. I smudge my mind so I can think clearly and learn from every person that crosses my path, so I can remember to be open-minded and never rigid with my thinking, and also so I can think good thoughts. I smudge my ears so I can listen twice as much as I speak. That's why we have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So I can be open to hear all of the messages that Creator sends me, but also so I can hear the voices of everything and everyone around me. So it's really important to really listen intently so you don't miss anything. I smudge my eyes so I can see clearly and see all of the beauty that surrounds me, so that I can see people fully and completely for who they are, to give thanks for my vision, and also to remember to see the unseen and pay attention, because sometimes when you're looking for something, you might miss something else. So it's really about having that broader spectrum and not being so hyper-focused on one thing or the other. So that broad vision. I smudge my nose so I smell danger and nature and cookies, or in this case, the sweetgrass, so it smells good. I smudge my mouth so I speak only true and kind words that are helpful and benefit mankind. I always ask myself, is it truthful? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Before I say anything or do anything. And if it's none of those things, it's not worth being said. It's not worth being done, because you're just going to hurt someone, including yourself. I smudge my throat because I'm very thankful for my voice this lifetime, so I can continue to give voice to the voiceless. My voice is still in the process of healing. I'm trying to figure out what. I'm developing an allergy to something, and I'm not quite sure what yet. So I'll figure it out and clear that out. I hope it's not cinnamon, because I love cinnamon. I'm going to smudge my lungs to honor that sacred breath that we all share, and to honor the relationship that we have with the plants every time we breathe. I smudge my heart so I can remember to be kind and compassionate and show unconditional love to all those that cross my path, to family, friends, to myself, and all our relations, such as everything and everyone around us. I smudge my stomach so all the food that I eat this day will nourish my body. I was very blessed today to have lunch with my mom, because it was her birthday yesterday. And I also want to pray for abundance for those around the world that may be suffering or may be hurting. Right now things are getting pretty tight, and food is one of those things that shouldn't be a commodity. It should be a right. And so I'm sending that abundance to those that need it. I smudge my belly button because that's where our spirit is. That's where we're connected before we come into this world. So our intuition is it's our spirit speaking through us and to us, and it is never ever wrong, ever. And so I honor that. I honor my womanhood because I'm very thankful to be a woman and a mother in this time. Also, as a two-spirit woman, I'm very thankful to carry both that masculine and feminine energy within me when I share ceremony and in my daily life, just the way that I walk. I smudge my shoulders and my back so I can carry all of my responsibilities in a good way with grace and humility. I smudge my arms and my hands so I can do the good work that Creator's put me here to do. I'm smudging my legs so I can walk this red road in a good way. That's that path of Aboriginal spirituality. I smudge my feet so I stay grounded and connected to Mother Earth, treading lightly upon her and honoring her with every step. And then if there's anywhere else in your body you need a little extra love, so my hips definitely starting to give me grief a little bit more than usual, but I'm hoping that they're going to heal. Sending that love to them for that support that they give me. And then if there's anyone in your life that you want to send some love, some healing, some prayers to, hold them in your heart. And that can be your friends, your family, maybe people across the world that you haven't met but you know they're hurting, even pets, even our beautiful Mother Earth. So set that intention and send that their way. And then when you're all done, you just say, hi, Miigwech, Marcy, and thank you. Oh, no worries, Simone. It's all the time. So thank you. And so just to start in a good way, I wanted to share a song. I'm going to share the bear song. So this is my son's drum. He made it when he was 5 years old. And now he's 14 and he smells weird. So, I'm just kidding. Actually, he's starting to shower regularly. It's kind of freaking me out. I think it's like an invasion of the body snatchers. I'm not quite sure what's happening. But he made it in Anishinaabe style. So this is buffalo, which you can tell because of the hide. It's so dark. And I love the little freckles on it. It's got a lot of these little teeny tiny birthmarks and beauty marks. And it was just when he saw it, he's like, I'm going to make it out of that one. I was like, okay, cool, buddy. So he was 5 when he made this, and it's just stunning. I'm very proud of him. And even his drumstick, which I'm going to have to fix because it's quite old, but he put the stitching on the outside because this is the first time he sewed, and he was so proud of it that he had to show it off. He didn't want to flip it inside out because he thought it was great. And so, yeah, my drum is out of school right now, so this is why I'm borrowing his. But I'm just really thankful and humbled. The Anishinaabe style in the back, that Dreamcatcher style, it teaches us that everything that happens in our life, it happens for a reason. We learn from it. Those mistakes that we make, they are learnings. They're happy accidents, in the words of Bob Ross. But it's true. So a lot of the times when we are going through things, we don't see it objectively, but then we look back at it, we're like, oh, this is what happened. But if you're continuously looking back going, I should have done this, or I could have done this, or I should have changed this, well, you can't. All you can do is learn from it and move forward. Because if you're so busy looking behind you, you're not paying attention to what's right in front of you, and you're going to get tripped up. You're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Just like a spider will catch a fly in a spider's web, we're going to get caught in those loops. And so it teaches us, learn from our mistakes and move forward, or else keep repeating them. It's up to you. And so, when my son was really little, he loved the bear song. So it didn't matter where we were. If I started singing the bear song, he would come running going, this is my favorite song! And which was the best way to go find a kid. You just start singing the bear song and he just shows up and you're like, this is awesome, let's go. But the bear, he teaches us about humility. He teaches us about courage, actually. The courage to be ourselves, the courage to stand up for what's right in our community, in our world, in our families, for ourselves. That courage is the ability to serve community. It takes a lot of courage to serve community, and kind of put your needs to the side, but don't completely forget yourself, because the bear still takes care of itself. It still eats, right? But it balances everything out. And so the bear has so many teachings behind it, so many teachings. And I'm going to share the teachings, and I'm going to share the story, because it's really been resonating with me. Um, so the bear is one of our biggest guides, because it eats the same things that we do. It teaches us what to eat and what not to eat. And so if it's only eating one particular berry one year, we knew, okay, only eat that berry. If we saw it, only eating elk, we know, okay, only hunt elk this year. But also there's a particular type of berry that we would watch the bear to know when it was ripe, when it was ready to go, because it's actually super toxic, but it only becomes ripe every 3 or 4 years. And when the bear goes to eat it, we know, okay, now is time to harvest. And that berry is so incredibly powerful. It has so many antioxidants and so much medicine in it that we had to know exactly when it was ready to go. So this is why we would watch the bear. And now I think it's called the bison berry, but we used to call it the bear berry because you would watch the bear to know when to eat it. But also we would know what is going on in the world because of it. So for example, out west with the pine beetles, the bears are chewing and clawing and ripping pods of pine beetles off the pine trees, trying to slow their progress, trying to protect the trees, trying to warn us, like, these beetles are a problem. We have to get rid of them. And so, sorry. And so we always know if there's something wrong in the environment, but also we also know what not to eat because of the bear. So I believe it was Williams Lake a few years ago. The bear, who normally eat fish all the time, they love the fish. So Williams Lake is kind of a tourist town. Half of it is a tourist town, and then the other half is a reserve. And so one year, the bear stopped eating the fish. And the First Nations people who watched the bear were like, whoa, don't eat the fish. There's something wrong with the fish. And they went into town to try and warn everyone, like, do not eat the fish. The bear stopped eating the fish. Don't eat the fish. And everybody who was there on vacation, because of course it's a tourist town, were like, no, we're here to go fishing. We're sure everything's going to be fine. Let's just say they had a pretty miserable vacation because most of it was spent in the bathroom. And when scientists came to figure out what was going on with everyone, why everyone was getting sick and having a lot of tummy trouble, they tested the water. Water was fine, but then they tested the fish, and they found a microorganism in the fish that was making everybody sick. So the bear knew it. They didn't touch the fish. The First Nations people who watched the bear knew it. They didn't touch the fish, and nobody else got the memo and had a pretty awful summer. And so it's amazing where they warn us of these things if we're paying attention. It teaches us to pay attention. But also here in Alberta, a lot of you might actually remember this. 15 years ago, there was a whole bunch of hungry wolves that were just dropped off in the middle of Banff National Park from our lovely American friends, going, meh, Banff is huge. We're sure it's going to be fine. Nothing could possibly go wrong. But you put that many predators in the middle of a national forest, yes, it's going to cause some problems. And so the wolves started to take a literal bite out of the population of the deer and the elk and the moose and the bighorn sheep, and causing major, major issues. And so the the bear was like, okay, well, this is a problem. And so they stepped up, because that's what the bear does. And the bear, who normally would eat those game animals, actually started to eat the wolves, because they knew by eating the wolves they would protect those other animals for the seasons to come, so that their populations would grow again, but also they would be fed, which is amazing. But the coolest thing about the story, which I found amazing, is the bear were only eating the wolves that didn't belong there. They were only eating the American wolves. Well, they were Americans, so maybe they were like extra fatty, rolled in sugar, possibly slightly battered, maybe from McDonald's. I'm not sure. But it was amazing how they knew which ones needed to come and which ones needed to be dealt with. And so it's really impressive that the bear teaches us these things. The bear also teaches us timing. So I know that when I like to go for my fast, usually in the fall, I will watch the bear. I'll look at it. If it's super, super, super fat, I know it's going to be a really cold winter. If it's not so fat, I know we're going to probably get a lot of Chinooks this year. And so this year, though, he was getting fat, but it was really late in the season, which was really weird. But he was definitely putting on a lot of weight. So I think our our winter's going to last a little bit longer and we're going to have a lot more waves of that chill. So here's hoping I'm wrong because I don't like cold. But according to the chubbiness on the bear scale, we're in for a cold one. But what's really amazing too is like, I don't think we should watch the groundhog to know what's happening with the seasons. I think we should watch the bear. We should have, instead of Groundhog Day, Bear Day. Bear with me. Sorry, I had to. But we could get a bear or somebody to walk into a bear den and poke the bear. If the bear does not wake up, 6 more weeks of winter. If the bear does wake up, run because spring is coming. And I think we should do it with politicians because I think that would be way more fun and entertaining than waking up a groundhog and it being like, oh, my shadow, run away. Because that's not scientific at all. And so, yeah, this is why we really honor the bear because it teaches us so much. It teaches us not only about ourselves, what to eat, but also about timing. And so the story that I know of the bear, I know actually several stories of the bear, but this one is one of the ones that I've been kind of telling kids because it's really fun. It's way more entertaining. I also have another one with lots of blood and guts in it. It's great. So older kids really love that one. But when Creator was giving all the gifts away, different animals were coming up and getting beautiful gifts. And so, of course, the buffalo came and was gifted respect because of the way that the buffalo steps in the world. She respects the earth that she walks upon, and she always leaves the roots of the plant in the ground and gives her saliva back. So she teaches us how to respect and honor the relationship with the earth. And so that's why she was gifted respect. The turtle was gifted truth because she carries the earth on her back, and all of truth is in nature, and all of truth is in science. And then the wolf was given humility because the wolf understands it is part of a whole, and it needs to be connected to community, and that takes a lot of humility to do that. And even the beaver was gifted a gift. She was gifted wisdom because she's one of the smartest animals that everybody knows. She can build these dams, and she's really, she knows exactly how to redirect the river in a good way. And so the bear was like, oh, everybody's getting these really cool gifts. I want a gift too. And so walks and says, Creator, I would love a gift. I would love a responsibility. What's my gift? And Creator says, well, bear, your gift is courage. And the bear said, courage. Awesome. What does that mean? And the Creator said, well, courage is the ability to be yourself. Because it takes a lot of courage to be yourself, bear. But also, it's the ability to stand up for what's right and help your community when you're needed. And the bear said, okay, so courage is helping. Courage is helping and being myself. Okay, I can do this. And so the bear went looking for someone to help, to show that he was courageous enough to help his community. And the first animal that he happened to cross was the beaver. The beaver had bitten off a little more than she could chew, literally, and knocked down a tree that was a little too big for her, a little too heavy for her to push. And so the bear saw her struggling to push this tree and said, looked at his paws, looked at his size, and said, oh, I could help. And so he said, Beaver, Beaver, can I please help you? And the beaver said, oh, that would be amazing, Bear. This tree is just too big for me. But if you could push it into the river, I could totally handle it from there. And the bear said, absolutely. So very easily, the bear pushed the big tree into the river. And the beaver said, wow, thank you, Bear. I really appreciate it. And the bear said, you're welcome, and continued on his path. Then the bear saw the mole really struggling. The mole had been digging, but hit a very solid patch of earth. It was still dirt, so she was chipping away at it, but she was sweating and just exhausted, and said, oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to get through this. And the bear looked at his own claws and his own paws and knew he was quite strong and knew his paws were claws were so sharp he could definitely dig deep. And so he asked, well, mole, can I help you? And the mole said, oh, yes, bear, that would be lovely. And so very easily, with his claws, the bear dug deep into the earth for the mole. And the mole was so thankful. Oh, thank you, bear. This is wonderful. And now I can start planning the rest of my home. And so the bear said, you're welcome, and moved on with its day. As the bear started to walk, he saw the squirrel, and she was surrounded by so much fruit and nuts and berries, and she looked so sad, though. And the bear's like, Squirrel, what's wrong? You have all of this abundance of food. Why do you look so upset? And she said, well, Bear, all of this food I have to bring up to my nest so that I could feed my family for the winter, but there's so much of it and I can't I can't bring it all up at once. I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough. And as soon as I leave any of it, those magpies over there who've been following me for quite some time, they are going to eat it all. And so the bear said, oh, well, I can help. And so very easily the bear gathered up all of the fruit and the nuts and the berries in his arms, and the squirrel climbed up to his shoulder, and the bear wandered over to the tree, reached up on his toes, and slid as all of the abundance poured out of his arms and into the tree. The squirrel was so thankful and said, wow, bear, thank you so much. My family's going to be set for the winter. I really appreciate it. And the bear said, you're welcome, and continued on its path to help. And so everyone was so thankful and so excited that the bear was willing to help. But then, well, everybody started asking for more help and more help and more help until people were asking, or the animals were asking for help even if they really didn't need it. So, for example, the mouse was like, hey, bear, I have to walk across the field, but it's really far. Can you give me a ride? And so she climbed up on the bear's back, and the bear walked across the field, put her down, and of course she skittered off and said, thanks, bear. And the bear said, you're welcome. And everyone just started asking for more and more and more help, even if they didn't need it, even if they were totally capable of doing something by themselves. And so the bear just kept saying yes and did more and more and more until he was just exhausted. And the bear thought, I'm getting so tired. Maybe if I have a snack, I'll have energy to help more of my friends. And so the bear went and he started to eat. And the winds got cold and he started to eat more and more. He ate all the fish that he could find and all the berries and everything until he got so full. And when you eat so much, you get so tired. And he thought, maybe I'll just have a little nap and then I'll be able to help my friends a little bit more because I'll have some energy. And so he wandered into his den and fell fast asleep. Well, outside of his den, the animals were looking for him. Bear, can we get a hand over here? Bear, I need some help. Hey, Bear, can you come and help me with this? But nobody could hear the bear or find the bear. It had been several days, and the animals started to worry. Where was the bear? Well, why wasn't he here? Why didn't they hear him or see him for the last couple of days? And they went, of course, to, well, the animal of wisdom, which is the beaver. And the beaver said, well, I suppose if he was having a rest, he would be in his den. Why don't we go check on him? And so all together, a bunch of the animals went to check on the bear. And then they went in the den and they saw the bear fast asleep. And they said, Bear, wake up. You've been asleep for like 3 days. And he didn't wake up. They said, Bear, wake up. And he didn't wake up. So all together they yelled, Bear, wake up. And he did not wake up. They thought, oh no, I wonder if the bear's okay. And the beaver said, well, let me try and give him a shake. And so she shook him. Bear, wake up. But he didn't wake up. And she shook him again. Bear, wake up. But he didn't wake up. And then she shook him again. Bear, wake up. And but he did not wake up. She said, oh no, I wonder what's wrong. And the squirrel ran up and put her head on his heart and listened. And the heartbeat was so slow. And she said, oh no, I think the bear is sick. And then the mouse went under the bear's nose to feel his breath. And he was breathing. So slow. And the mouse said, oh no, I think the bear's dying. All the animals were so upset. They felt so bad. Oh, Bear, we're so sorry for asking for so much help even when we didn't need it. We promise we'll never do it again. Just Bear, please wake up. But of course the bear wouldn't wake up. And so the beaver said, well, let's just let the bear rest. And maybe he'll feel better soon. And so they let the bear rest. And no one had seen him for days and nights and days and nights. They missed their friends so much they started to leave different offerings for him. Some berries, some fish, some nuts, whatever the bear loved, including honeycomb. It was his favorite thing. And all of the animals decided if they kept leaving these wonderful things outside, maybe, just maybe, the bear would wake up. But the seasons grew colder, and it started to snow, and then, eventually, the winter took over everyone. And so they fought for survival. And they didn't think their bear friend would ever survive the winter because they didn't see him, and he didn't come out to eat or anything. And then in the springtime, they were mourning their friend the bear. But as the bear slept so soundly, he heard the crackling of the ice. In the springtime, as the ice melts, it makes that beautiful crackling sound. Crackle, crackle, crackle. And as it does, it wakes up all of the plants in the earth. And the plants start to grow and stretch and break out of their seeds and shells and start to grow higher and higher and higher. And that smell of freshness started to fill the air and started to wake up all of the animals. And the animals started getting a little frisky, because one does in the springtime. And so they started chittering back and forth and calling back and forth to each other. So there was just a cacophony of sound of all of the animals trying to make babies. And then the bear was wondering what all of that crackling was, and then all of that racket, and then he smelled, oh, it smelled so fresh outside, and then he smelled something different on the breeze, and that was a crocus. The crocus only opens up first thing in the spring. What season is it? And so he wandered very sleepily out of his den, and he looked down and, oh, look at all of this wonderful food. And he started eating all of the berries, all of the fish, and even honeycomb. This is his favorite. And he was so thankful. He said, hey, friends, thanks so much for all this great food that you left me, but what season is it? And all of the animals said, well, it's springtime. And, Bear, you're alive! It's a miracle! And so they were so happy that their friend Bear was alive. And the bear said, oh, of course I'm alive. I just needed a little bit of a nap because I got pretty tired helping everybody. And all of the animals said, oh, Bear, we're so sorry. We're so sorry we were asking for all that help even when we didn't need it. We promise we'll never ask for help again. And the bear said, well, that's silly, friends. I'm here to help because that's my gift. That's what courage is to be able to help your friends. But maybe if you can do it by yourself, you should try first. And then if you really need help, I will totally help you. And all of the animals agreed. And so from that day forward, the bear said, but even though I'm going to be helping everybody through all of the seasons, I think when the winter starts to come and the spring gets really cold, I'm going to eat my fill and have a good long winter's nap. And so from that day forward, the bear always hibernates in the winter. Well, that's kind of a nicer story about why the bear hibernates, but that is the bear story. And so I'm going to share the bear song, as this is my son's favorite song. And so this is an Anishinaabe song. I learned it from many different elders, actually. I remember hearing it growing up. My mission would share it, and my auntie Frida Hininki would share it all the time. And then I learned it again through Carrie Moore and through just several, actually, other elders who shared this song. And Sharon Prue Turner, which was always wonderful. I miss hearing her voice. But yeah, it's the bear song. So it teaches us about community, about connection, and about courage. I'm dying a horrible death here. So yeah, the next song that I'm going to share, the song that kind of just jumped in my head as I was singing, is the Women's Honor Song. So this song is from Joan Henry, who's a Arapaho Cherokee. Oh, my son's drum is very high pitched. I forgot about that. Well, this is his wee drum, his very wee drum. He definitely has to make a new one just because he's coming of age. But we'll get that done. So, the Women's Honor Song, is from Joan Henry. She's a Arapaho Cherokee, and I'm just really thankful for this song. And so it teaches us to really honor that sacredness of Mother Earth, the sacredness of that divine feminine that's in each and every one of us, that nurturing aspect and that bringing community together aspect of that feminine energy. And so, yeah, you might hear that pulse or that rhythm. It's the same thing when you pick up a baby and you're trying to calm it. You have that kind of like natural pulse, that little bounce. And so that's really what this song teaches us, to really honor that natural ability to like nurture people around us and ourselves. We have to nurture that inner child too, absolutely. But to really honor Mother Earth, those fantastic strong women around us, those fantastic two-spirit people around us, and also, our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, and all those strong women who have led us here. So this is the Women's Honor Song, Hanagea. Hanagea, weha weha, weha no we ha weha we ah we ah we ah 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 ah. Hanagea, weha weha, weha no we ha weha we ah we ah we ah 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 ah. When away, when away we are, when away, no way we oh hey we are, way higher, way high, way high we are, ah ah ah. Hanagea, way ha we are, way ha no way, way ha we are, way ah we are, we are, ah ah ah. When away, when away we are, when away, no way we oh hey we are, way high, way high, way high we are, ah ah ah. Hanagea, way ha we are, way ha no way, way ha we are, way ah we are, we are, ah ah ah. When away, when away we are, when away, we oh hey we are, way higher, way high, way high we are, ah ah ah. Hanagea, way ha we are, way ha no way, way ha we are, way ah we are, we are, ah ah ah. When away, when away we are, when away, we oh hey we are, way higher, way high, way high we are, ah ah ah. Hanagea, way ha we are, we ha no way, we ha we are, we ah we are, we are, ah ah we are. I think I'm going to sing the laughing song. So that kind of popped into my head. So I'm going to sing the laughing song. This is from the Four Winds Singer. And they are out of, I believe they're from Enoch, but they're from Edmonton. And so it teaches us not to take ourselves too seriously. And I'm like, when I hear like the little drum, it's like, oh, it's so cute. And so it makes me not want to take myself too seriously. And so, this is the laughing song, to remind ourselves not to take ourselves too seriously, but enjoy life. life is too short to be too serious. So when we laugh at things, when we see the joy in things, when we see the things to be grateful for, that's when our life really is worth living. And so this is the laughing song. Way hi yo, way hi yo, way ho, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way hi yo, way ho, why yo, way ho. Way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way hi yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo. Way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho. Way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way yo, way ho. Way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo. Way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way yo, way ho, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho. Way hi yo, way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way hi yo, way yo, way ho, why yo, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho, way ho. I do love that song. It's super fun. And so, yeah, I'm going to share a couple more songs. And one of them has been sticking with me is a Thunderbird song. So very much like the design of this drum, the Anishinaabe teachings around the Thunderbird is that everything happens for a reason. All of the spots, it kind of shapes and molds who defines us, or what defines us. And so everything happens for a reason, happens for a purpose, and we have a choice whether we want to take the easy road or the hard road. The hard word, definitely, we tend to force ourselves down all the time, but it reminds us to listen to that internal Thunderbird, which is our intuition, and it is never wrong. So it'll keep kind of nudging us on the right path, and if we're not paying attention, we're going to keep making the same mistakes, and it's just like going to nudge us harder and harder and harder until eventually it gets fed up with us and just like boom, kicks us in the butt and puts us on the right path, which is completely what happened to me. So about, oh my gosh, a little over a decade now, I was hit by a truck. And in that moment, I had to think, why was I hit by that truck? Not like, why did the truck hit me? But like, why? what is the purpose of that? What is the path that I need to be on that I wasn't on before, that the Thunderbird needed to hit me so violently to put me onto the path that I needed to be on? And this was it. You know, had it not been for that truck hitting me, I wouldn't be where I am now. I wouldn't be sharing my traditional knowledge and songs and stories, and be able to share with community in a meaningful way. I would have been in a very different place. And so even though it sucked to get hit by a truck, it actually happened for the best reasons, because it put me exactly where I needed to be. And I think sometimes when we look back at those really horrible things, horrific at times, things that have happened to us in our life, if we see meaning in them and if we find that meaning, it will put us on the right path. And it just teaches us, listen to that Thunderbird so we don't get hit by a truck, and just listen to the subtle things before it has to literally hit us with a truck. And so, yeah, this is the Thunderbird song. Every time I'm feeling upset, I just think of the Thunderbird, and I know, okay, there's a reason for this. And you see that joy and that beauty and everything. So this is the Thunderbird song. It's the Anishinaabe. Kichiwa peso, mani tu kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, we hai we yo. Kichiwa peso, mani tu kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, we hai we yo. Kichima peso, mani tu kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, we hai we yo. Kichima peso, mani tu kichiwa no. Wea heya heya yo, wea heya heya yo, we hai we yo. Speaking of birds, apparently the raven song is meant to be sung. So I just trust sometimes what comes through me and my intuition, and the raven song just kind of was like, sing me. So I'm not going to share the whole story though, because it is a long story, although it is a fun story about how the raven had to learn about humility and had to find his path and his purpose by getting burned, literally. He used to have beautiful rainbow feathers, but because he wasn't humble and he was being a bully, essentially, the bear played a trick on him, and he flew into the sun to prove that he was the best in burning off all of his rainbows. But in that moment, he found his purpose, he found his path, was to play tricks on everyone, essentially, and to remain humble because of that little shine that he still has of that rainbow in his feather. And so, yeah, this is the bear song. This is, I call it a Cherokee song. So I learned it from my cousin, who he's actually half Cherokee and half Cree. And so yeah, I was really thankful when I found this song, and I was like, why do I know this song? And then I was finally able to connect with the person who posted it, and they're like, oh yeah, no, this is my family song. And I'm like, oh, cool. Well, I don't know why, I just feel like I know it. He's like, well, where are you from? And I'm like, Muscade Lake. He's like, what's your last name? And I'm like, well, my family name is Gray Eyes. And he's like, cousin. So we had a really good conversation about how the songs that are meant to follow you will come back to you. The songs that are meant to be in your family and carried by your family will come back through you and to you. And so this is the Thunderbird song. I'm going to take a little sip of water. At the end of the third verse, you're going to hear, ooh, as the raven falls out of the sky. And then we're going to get a little higher with the last verse as he learns his lesson. And so I just want to share a thank you song or farewell song, not a goodbye song because there's such a thing as goodbye, but a see you soon song. Let's see which one wants to come up today. That's a good query. This is the thank you to your journey song. This is a journey song that I wrote. So may your journey ahead be beautiful. May your journey this week be wonderful, and I hope that all roads will lead us back to each other. And this is the journey song. And this is my song. This came through me when I was at a hospital, of all places. Sakahito into your journey. Sakahito into your friends. Sakahito into your family. Until we meet again. Way-ah-hey, way-ah-hey-oh. Ah-hey, way-ah-ho. Ah-hey, way-ah-hey-oh. Way-ah-hey-ah-ho. Sakahito into my family. Sakahito into my friends. Sakahito into my journey. Until we meet again. Ah-hey, ah-hey, way-ah-hey-oh. Ah-hey, ah, way-ah-ho. Way-ah-hey, way-ah-hey-oh. Way-ah-hey-ah-ho. Sakahito into our family. Sakahito into our friends. Sakahito into our journey. Until we meet again. Ah-hey, ah-hey, way-ah-hey-oh. Ah-hey, ah-hey, way-ah-ho. Ah-hey, ah, way-ah-hey-oh. Hey-ah-hey-ah-ho. Sakahito. Okay. Sakahito into my family. Sakahito into our friends. Sakahito into the journey. Until we meet again. Well, hey, ah-hey, way-ah-hey-oh. Well, hey, way-ah-ho. Well, hey, ah, way-ah-hey-oh. Until much for joining me today, and I appreciate it. Hopefully my voice is getting a little better every week, so hopefully next week for sure I'll be back as soon as I figure out what's going on. So thank you again, everyone. Miigwech, hi, Marcy Cho, hey, Blackfoot, and I will see everyone next week. Bye.